Well, obviously today's press is necessitated more from the second book which has been released. Yesterday's book of Sanjaya Baru and today's by the former Coal Secretary are of great political importance in that they have worked very closely with the Prime Minister, and both the books elaborate on very important issues on which the entire tenure of UPA has been marred. I'm just highlighting two things on which all of us will agree that the UPA's term can be characterized by absence of leadership from the Prime Minister. Clearly, the Prime Minister was never on the top of the job, in the sense he was never in control. And the power sharing arrangement which has happened between Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and the Congress and the Prime Minister has resulted in behind the screen control of the PMO. And that is why we have always said that the Prime Minister remains silent when he is expected to answer. He's taken critical decisions on which we don't know why, what reasons prevailed for a decision to be taken this way or that. And as a result, when we spoke of a weak Prime Minister, people thought whether it was Sri Advani during 2009 campaign or afterwards, oh, this is personalizing campaigning, this is really undermining the authority of the Prime Minister, you wouldn't do this country didn't have the history. All this was lectured upon us and the whole nation was hearing it. Now I could even go to the extent of saying the Congress party misled the nation. Both Parakh and Sanjay Baru's book underline this fact that everything revolves around the family, the first family. Decisions are made by them, ministers are appointed by them, allocations of natural resources are made by them, policies which are favorable, not so favorable for the common people are made by them. Information sharing was also done by them, damage control exercises, even if it results probably in the loss of some files, maybe all this centered around them and not around the institutional mechanism which is provided for by the Constitution. Family was the first family was the one which took the call. Institutionalized mechanism had no place to play. And when therefore the opposition went on saying that there doesn't seem to be an answerability and accountability, the public probity about which all of us are very concerned in this country today remains outside of the family because they've chosen to share power in such a way that they will exert it, but they will not be accountable or answerable for it. The family does not give answers. And those who are not responsible for the decision are the ones giving the answers. So, when it is leadership, it is the family. Yes, it is the family. When it is credits, yes, it's the family. When it is decisions, it is got to be the family. But when it is answerability, when it is being responsible for decisions taken, when it is accepting blame when it is wrong, when things go wrong, accepting the blame, no, not the family. This mechanism is where dynastic politics has ruined this country in the last 10 years. And dynastic politics has happily looked the other way, even as the sanctioned loots were happening. And the Prime Minister or any other who's available there was not available for you to get the answers. Parakh, in his book, very clearly suggests that the suggestions made for a transparent coal block allocation was not accepted. That is the crux of that book. That suggestions made to reform and have a transparent coal allocation process was not accepted. And subsequently, of course, till date, the matter is, of course, sub judice, and we are not going to go into greater detail about the way in which BJP has spoken about it all the while. But the fact remains that allocations were made on other considerations, not on standards which were set out or laid out in the form of what is required for a global competitive tender. That did not happen. Parakh very clearly points out that suggestions given for a transparent coal allocation process did not get accepted. He also says something which we have repeatedly said, and something I thought at one point in time, even the Prime Minister came out to say, officials need not be scared. Didn't he say that? Honest officials need not be worried. They should be given the strength to function. It was Dr. Manmohan Singh who said that. But what does Mr. Parakh have to say, who worked as the coal secretary, resigned in 2005? What did he have to say? He says bureaucrats who have integrity, who can function with integrity and honesty, could not function. They can't work. Very clearly, there are very serious issues raised in both the books. Both the books raise very critical questions about the way this government has functioned, about the way in which this government took decisions, about the way in which priorities were set for the government. All these issues, given the fact that the Prime Minister repeatedly has been showed as not being in control, leads us to, and naturally leads us to, ask question of Srimati Sonia Gandhi. Election campaigning is on. 5 more phases of polling is due. Our charge sheet from the BJP, the principal opposition party, our charge sheet very clearly pointed out the areas in which we have not had answers. Yes, on the one hand, you have price rise, which has remained where it is. No promises made were kept by the government. But for the corruption, the kind of extent of corruption that we have seen in this country under the UPA rule, questions of processes, questions of decision making have all remained without answer. And with both the books telling us very clearly that the Prime Minister was not even in control, and the Prime Minister never gave answers, I think it is now very clear the answers are no longer what the Prime Minister can give. They are actually answers which Mrs. Sonia Gandhi has to give, which the Vice President of the Congress Party, Rahul Gandhi ji, will have to give. No more fooling around, no more talking about everybody else's agenda. You account for what you've done in the last 10 years. Authoritative sources are telling us that you've done this, you've done that, you've done any number of things. We've also pointed out, media has pointed out. Enough of your rallies raising questions about your own versions of who was given what. Even today, we've heard Rahul Gandhi speak about land being distributed here, land being distributed there. Let me remind you that Supreme Court had very clearly said that the land acquisition policy in Gujarat is exemplary and it can be replicated in other states. And we all know that the land acquisition in Gujarat had passed through 3 different open level, committees which sat and decided where the land has to be given, who to give, and so on. The process was very transparent and open. And if after that the Vice President spends time in his rallies spreading what are not really the, actual ground reality, I think it's time now all of us ask questions about those questions on which Parakh and Baru have spoken. And it is on those issues that Rahul Gandhi has to give his reply. No good now pointing fingers at others and talking about others' policies. What policy guided and how much of land was given to Vadra in Haryana? Why doesn't he speak about that? What policy and what priorities dominated in Rajasthan under Ashok Gehlot's government when Vadra was given the land? Why doesn't Rahul Gandhi speak about that? Why is Khemka, the official there, being harassed? Why doesn't Rahul Gandhi speak about that? Supreme Court, after all, has spoken about the policy, land distribution, land acquisition policy in Gujarat. Here, every probe is being scuttled in Haryana. And therefore, the two books have only reinforced what the BJP has been saying all the while. The family cannot any longer run away from the responsibility of answering questions. It is now their time to answer. And now, therefore, I think all of us can understand why the BJP's campaign agenda is Congress Mukt Bharat. This attitude of the Congress, that they can sit in their high horses with arrogance, and if the opposition raises questions, they won't answer. High officials who have worked with them have raised the very same issues. I think it's time for them to come out clean rather than go on deflecting this from this issue. On the one day you have, oh, is it going to be somebody else from the family? Oh, the other day you have Vajpayee in their website. Or third day we have a lecture like we had today in Rahulji's rally. Do you know Advani ji? Do you know Vajpayee ji? Do you know Jaswant Singh ji? More time is spent in familiarizing about BJP leadership than their own performance in the last 10 years. Ridiculous, I would say. Vice president of a party campaigning to come back to power after 2 5-year terms is standing up to speak about more on Vajpayee, more on Jaswant Singh, more on Advani, and more on BJP leadership rather than talk about his performance. I'm shocked the way in which they go on deflecting shamelessly rather than tell us about the good work they did in 10 years. That shows the extent to which Congress party is frustrated. They have no message to give. They have no clear-cut election campaign issue. One day it is praise Vajpayee, another day decry him. One day it is say, oh, we have a clear-headed young leadership, another day you say another leadership is being probably thought about. And third day, that very leadership which emerges again from that very same family says, no, I'm not even in the reckoning. What is going on? What exactly is going on in the Congress party? Are they seriously in the fight or not? Are they just giving us side shows? Let them answer questions which are being raised by two important books which have come out today. Therefore, I think it's time for the Congress party to admit their fight is losing steam. They have no message to give. They are only attempting to deflect from the core issues. And that is failure to govern. They've lost the trust of the people of this country. Thank you. राहुल गांधी जी, पता नहीं उनके एडवाइसर्स कौन है, बहुत जल्दी से जल्दी कूद जाते हैं विषय उठाने के लिए. मैं पिछले 2 दिन से उनके बयान के ऊपर विस्तार से बोलना नहीं चाह रही हूँ, मगर तुरंत वापस भी हट जा रहे हैं वो. He takes a step backward the moment somebody questions him. Slowly he is emulating his B team, which is led by Sri Kejriwal. Say something, then forget it, do a U-turn. Probably Rahul Gandhi is also adopting the same method of throw something, if it sticks, or else keep going, no problem. Or even take a U-turn. This kind of a jumping into a situation without doing homework is going to hit back at the Congress. In the last few days, they have been doing that. Even now, I would like to highlight on this point of land being given away. Gujarat's land acquisition policy has been praised by the Supreme Court. It is completely transparent from the village level till the state level. There are teams and teams of committees which consist of a wide body of people who assess lands, and on a general note, agricultural lands are never picked up. Their barren lands or lands which cannot do much of a cultivation is what is being bought, and never do they acquire farmers' lands, if I know right. And if all this is being said about by the Supreme Court itself, would Rahul Gandhi please do his homework or ask his advisors, speechwriters, to do better homework before he comes in to accuse the BJP? And in this context, I raise a question. What would he want to tell about Vadra acquiring lands in Rajasthan and Haryana? How much was he given for? How much quick money did he make out of it? Did he pay anything for Haryana government on it? There are a lot of questions, specific questions, which probably Rahul Gandhi will have to do a bit of homework and answer us. Is Congress saying it or Mr. Digvijay is saying it? And if Mr. Digvijay is saying it, does the Congress party stand by it? Because Mr. Digvijay Singh says a lot of things, later the Congress party disowns. And if he thinks that Mr. Modi is capable of making former PMO media advisor to write, former coal secretary to write, I think Mr. Modi deserves to be in government, and therefore we should elect him as Prime Minister. There will be better way of getting things organized. Thank you. Yeah. Well, Mr. Bishnoi is an alliance partner. He certainly has written to BJP senior leader. Let the party decide on how it wants to handle that. It's all right. It's an alliance partner and his viewpoint.
There seems to be a battle on the legacy of B.R. Ambedkar. While Modi ji has spoken about it in the rally, Congress is point by point saying that there are references in the past where Narendra Modi has not respected the Dalits.
Congress party made a tourism out of a Dalit's hut. That lady probably now is much worse off today than what she was earlier. Batta Parsol, I am not sure, has come in his vocabulary afterwards, after he made that, deflect from the police who stopped him from going, went on a motorbike, again, photo opportunity. Did he speak about Batta Parsol after that? How many ever times has, other than the Gandhi Nehru names, has the Congress party given Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's name for anything? Schemes, programs, memorials, airports, schools, colleges. Why do they remember him only when Narendra Modi speaks about him? I think the Congress party's game's up. Whether it is on their performance or on their respect to non-Gandhi, non-Nehru leaders who were associated with the freedom fighting and the constitution making of India. I think high time they look inwards, because no good looking inwards just for naming institutions, even to do an honest appraisal of their performance. हम वापस उनका सवालात हमारी तरफ से भी पूछ रहे हैं ना. वाद्रा जी का कितना लाभ मिला हरियाणा की लैंड में, वो सब देख लें, क्योंकि गुजरात की लैंड एक्विजिशन के ऊपर इधर हम जितनी भी चर्चा करें वो कम है, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ही उन पॉलिसी को अच्छा माना है. इसीलिए राहुल गांधी जल्दबाज में बात ना करें, थोड़ा होमवर्क करें, और होमवर्क वाद्रा जी के ऊपर भी करके हमें ज्ञान दिलाएं. थैंक यू.